back seat. I'll wait till Grover gets in the seat.
John he's got a rotator cuff player.
It looks like it's a different shoulder or something.
No, he's got a pacemaker on the other side.
A pacemaker?
Yes, for his heart. Yeah.
He looks like he's about to kill. He's about taking the nap, my boy.
He said he was trying to tie his tie.
I'll be about to get the time. Well, guys, let's go ahead and get our meeting started tonight. I'm filling in for Mrs. Boo, our chairman. She's out of town, and so I'm going to try to get us through the meeting. It's glad to have everyone here tonight. I guess I'll turn it over to Mr. Alexander and let him lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance.
If we could have a moment of silence to begin with, you please stand. And please pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. Attention. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I guess we'll turn this over to Mr. Alexander for some recognition. I think some folks aren't here tonight, and I guess he'll...
Our swimmer and our tracksters are at other camps right now and could not come, so we have their certificates, and we'll give them to them in another month. We do have Mr. Kuntz and Mr. Carter. If those people will come forward. Mr. Carter?
Appreciate it. I want to take the opportunity to recognize Mr. Gary Kuntz with GW Construction. And Mr. Kuntz spent many Saturdays over this past year helping us out at T.A. Duggar with putting together these dugouts, laying brick. He actually spent a lot of time as well with the tower and that kind of thing. And we just wanted to take this opportunity to thank him for his service. Again, he had guys driving in from Johnson City, Greenville, etc., and these guys come in and they were there and they were just happy to serve our kids. And I know numerous times Mr. Kuntz, he thanked me and just said, hey, I just want to help the kids. And so at this time, I'd like to recognize Mr. Kuntz for his service to Elizabethton City Schools. So if Mr. Kuntz, you come forward.
Folks, thousands of dollars of worth of materials.
Mr. Kuntz, on behalf of the board, we would like to thank you for your efforts and your hard work. That's a nice addition to our T.A. Duggar campus down there, and you just helped make it a little nicer, and we certainly appreciate your work and your efforts in that. So we certainly appreciate you. Thank you.
Ms. Rader, will you come forward, please? Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Ashley Rader, this is her last board meeting, and she is going to ETSU to the admissions office, and we're going to miss her because, in all honesty, we cut up and aggravate her endlessly. But she is very professional, and they're getting a good one, and we just hope that the other gentleman replacement will be anywhere close to where she is. So, in those circumstances, Ms. Rader. It's going to be on 20 by 30. he's already gone, so we don't have to.
Okay. In accordance with Board Policy 1.404, if there's any citizens here at this time that would like to speak, they may come forward now. Seeing no one, I guess we'll move on with our agenda. I would like to ask for approval of the consent and regular agenda. But before I do so, I would like to, on the regular agenda, items number 9 and 10, I would like to defer those couple items due to the fact that we discussed it at our last meeting, and Ms. Brewer even sent out a little notice to all the board members about having a policy workshop. And I think that would be the appropriate time to discuss these two items that are currently on the regular agenda. So I'd like to defer those two items to this policy workshop that Ms. Brewer, Chairman Brewer, has already requested, is already trying to put this together. So she would really like for us to get some dates and get some dates in mind, so as soon as possible. If you, the little note that she sent us, TSBA has some policy changes that we need to address and to get us in compliance with state law. So this would be a good time to look at these two policies and see and take action on those then, if that's okay with everyone. I'd like to defer that to the
Second that.
Does she want that in July, or is she spilling over into August?
I don't know. We'll just have to get back with her when she gets. We need to get with Ms. Perkins and give some dates. Hopefully, I don't know what her schedule is. I would like to see us maybe toward the end of July or 1st of August. July's half over. Hopefully, maybe the 1st of August. I think it's something we need to do sooner more so than later, because there is some changes that have come along that we probably need to address and incorporate in some of our policies, and maybe some new policies that we need to look at also.
Yeah, I know I'm open the last week of July. Before I left home.
Okay, that would be great.
So
if you would get with Ms. Perkins, I know she's at a workshop or something herself. Maybe the first of the week, maybe some of us can get together and we can hopefully maybe that last week of July. I'll be available, but I can't speak for everyone else.
I sent her my dates. I have several that week that I can come in the evening,
July.
after hours or afternoons.
Okay. Maybe if we'll pass this on to Ms. Brewer, then maybe we can get something scheduled as soon as possible. Okay. So I guess the action before us is to move on with the consent and regular agenda, deferring the last two items, 9 and 10. I have a motion to approve the consent and regular agenda.
So moved.
Have a second?
I'll second, but there's a correction I need to
Okay, that's fine.
put in there. You want me to give it now?
Yes, I guess so, yes. Go ahead.
Okay. I had several questions under consent agenda concerning the general purpose budget, but I had a lot of help today, so I got most of those answered.
Okay, good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Some of the capital projects I'll get with, I'm sorry. I hate to even mention your name. I'll get with him. How about that? And I had a couple of questions about item number 6 under consent agenda.
Okay.
The extra pay for advanced study and factors.
Yes.
And of course I was not here at the last board meeting, so I really didn't have an explanation on that. I can ask that if you want to toss it over to the end of the, whatever you want to do.
Okay, that would be fine.
And I have, let's see, I think that's the only two. I had one item not placed on the agenda. And of course, by policy, you have to place items from board members onto the agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been through this 2 or 3 times, so I called Nashville again and talked to them. And what I did was, I did better this time than I've done in a long time. And I ran you off a copy of what I turned in, the requested items, and the one that was not put onto the agenda. If you don't want it, you don't have to take it. But it's the regular agenda that I turned in. And I took part of it out so it wouldn't be embarrassed. But anyway, I was told, and I had been through this board policy before, 1.403. So I copied that for you so that you would see it. And I attached it to the items that I turned in. And, of course, it states that second line, any board member may place items on the agenda for discussion. And I told the man I was talking to in Nashville, I said, well, you know, I'd like approval. And he said, you can. He said it can just roll right over from discussion into approval. And so I think I had been told that before. And then down on line 7, at the beginning of each meeting, the board shall, by majority vote, approve the agenda for the meeting, which may involve the addition or deletion of items previously included on the agenda. And you could place your item on there and with the hope that it was going to, I felt sure this item was so good, and it was a good item, that there would be no problem in passing that approval. I am not going to try to place it on tonight's agenda. I would like to have a full board or at least more than 3 before placing that item back onto the agenda. But I wanted you to see that any item that a board member, now I'm not speaking to our chairman, but anybody who's on the executive committee, and there's another item, 1.301 for clarification if you need that one, that you must put onto the agenda. And I don't know, I assumed, and I could be wrong on that, I think I know who took that off after much discussion, but I was asked by, you wouldn't believe the number of people that asked me to put this on the agenda. And I will tell them that was not done, so, but I will try again at a later board meeting. Let's see if there was anything else on that. I'm not going to add it to. Okay, well, it stands to reason that you can't just have one person doing an agenda, because that is no longer your democracy and the government that we are ruled by. So we'll try again, but did you take that item off?
Which item are you talking about?
1. The first one I turned in.
Approval of the board naming the basketball court in honor of Lynn Duggan.
Mm-hmm.
That was a consideration of a board policy because Ms. Perkins sought out the board policy.
I did
A
too.
board policy, because there's not one in our board policy. So we'd have something by which to go. And that's what's going to be discussed. Ma'am, that's your opinion.
Well, that is an opinion.
That is yours. Yes, ma'am, that is mine.
Well, I might just make a comment here. The reason being is, and the reason we're taking number 9 off is because that we don't have a policy as far as naming facilities, and so therefore, that's why we were going to incorporate that into the workshop so that that full board can look at that, consider how we want to frame the policy for.
This one was not like naming a new facility, you know, and it was just brought up to me in so many places. And I thought, well, that's a nice thing and very deserving, so I'll put it on there. There was, you do not have to have a policy for every approval of the board. So I thought, they're going to say that, and you did. But that is not the, you don't have to have that. You can do that without. In fact, I know of a couple that were not in years past. But I hold that one. But I just wanted you to know that if you turn in an agenda item, then the executive committee, by board policy, is supposed to put that onto the agenda. About 90% of what I ask to be put onto board agenda, it's requested by somebody in the public. I'm not smart enough to figure out what all they feel like we need, and they're usually right on that. But I wanted to bring that out.
Anything else? Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second to approve the consent and regular agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All in favor say no. Okay, so moving on, we'll turn this over to Mr. Alexander for personnel update.
Prior to getting the personnel update, I'd like to direct your attention to the 20 by 30s that we have 4 of them up here that are from recent meetings to recognize, first of all, Danielle Vines as a AA tennis state champion. Next you have, in the same line there, Mrs. Payne and Mr. Wright, along with Grace Jackson and Anna Thomason, who were National Council Teachers of English writing winners, and that's no small thing, folks. Also, you have Mr. Colbert and Miss McCamey and Miss Jarrett, and 2 of those that were CTE state winners. And then you have the picture of Mrs. Brewer receiving the $15,000 donation for the stadium from Richard Barker in memory of his wife, Mary Lynn, which was very moving ceremony. So good things are happening in our system, folks. And one reminder, of course, our in-service program, our breakfast, and thank you, T.A. Duggar, breakfast and the actual program will occur on August 4, starting at 8 o'clock. And the program, of course, there will be hats and cyclone shirts for the board members and Mr. Tester and others. And the musically talented will have practiced 2 times by that time, and we'll be ready, actually 3 times by then. And that's our employees, 17 of whom who will be performing various songs. We were hopeful that they'll be upbeat for that in-service program. Now to the personnel update. New hires: Kenneth Harden, EHS head softball coach, effective 6/18. John Hutchins, EHS girls golf coach, effective 6/18. Also, we figured more of our central office people ought to get involved in that. Mr. Pless and Mr. Van Huss are also coaching. We're trying to figure out where Joey Trend and Dr. Gardner are going to go. But anyway, moving right along, Selena Stout, Eastside interim teacher, effective 8/11. Ginger Holdren, EHS teacher, effective 8/4. Shelby Kind, T.A. Duggar teacher, effective 8/4. Matthew Fox, T.A. Duggar teacher, effective 8/4. Kayla Story, Eastside interim teacher, effective 9/22. Resignations: Samuel Blevins, ESP child care worker, effective 6/27. Transfers: Cindy Elliott, from part-time to full-time assistant with the vocational rehabilitation program. That's effective 7/1. Barry Johnson, from T.A. Duggar girls basketball coach to T.A. Duggar boys basketball coach, effective 7/7. Marshall Hardy, from T.A. Duggar boys basketball coach to T.A. Duggar assistant boys basketball coach, effective 7/7. Emily Orsburn, from Eastside part-time assistant to the teacher to Eastside office-based teacher assistant, effective 7/25. Retirements: Doris Woodby, Harry McCormick custodian, effective 8/4. Leave of absence: Randy Little, T.A. Duggar principal, from 5/23 to 6/6. Suspension: Sarah Dunford, Eastside teacher, May 23rd and May 26, 2014. And that is it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Under the next item, other or reports from administrative staff, do I have any reports from anyone?
May I ask a question?
Sure.
And this is just one that my husband and I have had a discussion about. Which way is that stadium going to face?
It's going north-south. It runs perpendicular to West Elk Avenue. So it runs perpendicular to here.
Okay. Now, how much footage is between that and the highway? The Elk Avenue. It doesn't look like very much, and the walking trail.
I don't know the exact square footage. I couldn't tell you that. It is in close proximity with that end of the property line, but we're well within our property line to put that stadium there. But it does run down very close to the rails to trails. It's somewhere around where the parking lot is now, maybe extended out a little bit further, but not much.
Well, I'd never thought about that property line out there. That is true, because the trail belongs to
Johnson City, that's right. And we think it's going to be a real nice tie-in, the rails to trails down through there, and then the stadium there. So, I mean, we think it's going to be an exciting addition for the city. So, and typically football fields run north to south. That way you don't have issues with the sun, you know, in your eyes. So that's typical. That's the ideal orientation.
Yeah, I think the T.A. Douglas Stadium is east-west.
It is east-west. It is.
Yeah. I know tennis courts have to, or should be a certain north, south, east, west.
Yes, and they are as well.
Yeah, I knew they were. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Oh,
So anything else?
you can see I've really put a lot of thought into this. I noticed in the paper, Bobby Robinson said that you said we're going to break ground in September.
Late September, mid to late September, if we're lucky and the weather cooperates, yes.
Now, is there a reason for it? I thought it was we were in a rush to get it going, and then.
Well, ma'am, the city council delayed 6 months to begin with and held on to the money, and that was one thing. Also, Mr. Williams has had to work with Mr. Kane in getting paperwork and things. We're moving as fast as they'll let us go. So that's where, ma'am, no one could be more anxious to do this than we are. I can assure you.
I couldn't, I thought it was sooner than that. Surprising.
Anything else?
I'm sure I'll think of something. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, let's move on to our regular agenda. And the first item on the regular agenda is to approve awarding a bid for the construction of storm drainage at the T.A. Duggar Athletic Fields to Mill Creek Construction Corporation in the amount of $7,500. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? A couple of quick questions. When do they plan on starting this once the board approves this, Mr. Van Hus? I guess my concern is school's going to start here in just a few weeks, and
right.
I was kind of in hopes of maybe being already the end of this project. I know,
right.
I'm sure you took that into some consideration.
Yes, and in talking with Mr. Weems and the folks at GRC, the construction managers, they feel like they can do this in about a 3-week stretch. So if the board approves this tonight, we can give them the go-ahead, and they can go ahead and get started within the next week or so. So it will overlap a little bit, but I don't think there'll be near the disruption that was there with the original construction of the fields. Because, again, it's mostly concrete work that's off the road, so I don't think there's going to be any issues there.
You're saying 3 weeks, that's both the drainage and the concrete?
Correct, yes. It's about 3 weeks to complete. And, again, that's all dependent on weather, but they said it would be about a 3-week process.
That drainage, we've talked about it before. Mm-hmm. I had Ms. Perkins put in here some pictures,
mm-hmm.
That of course I taught in that classroom
Portable.
In the back. I
mm-hmm.
love that port. It's
mm-hmm.
great.
Mm-hmm.
Believe you me, I had no problems with that. But I was going to discuss that a little bit next board meeting,
mm-hmm. using
those pictures to show you how that water's draining in next to the building
mm-hmm.
back there. Now, I'm sure you've had somebody environmental check the field at Elizabethton High School down there. The drainage on that field back where the track is. I know the tennis courts, when they were up in front of the gym, they suffered because of the drainage
mm-hmm.
there. I wonder if they thought about that.
I
thought that water's standing there.
Right. I know that there's drainage on the current practice field, I think that you're referring to where the track is. There's drainage already there. When we start work on the parking lot in the back, there will have to be additional drainage included in that project mm-hmm. based on TDEC environmental restrictions and codes. So that is being taken into consideration. And those kinds of things, when you talk about things that it feels like maybe the projects have been delayed, it's working through all those kinds of things, getting approval, finding out what you can do, what needs to be done, and we're just in the middle of that process. So there's not been any kind of a delay, other than just, the wheels of progress sometimes move slow, and it's the same situation here. We're just playing catch up in a lot of
I know
ways.
my father was chairman of the planning commission here for several years in Elizabethton, and also on the school board. And I remember him saying to me, we'll never build a school on that property because of the water. Well, they did. J.I. built that school down there, and I don't know that they've had.
Right. And part of it, as far as where the stadium is going to be located, part of the field construction is underground drainage. That's part of the project. There's, that's probably one of the biggest advantages to a synthetic turf field is the drainage. And so all of that will be taken into, consideration when construction starts there.
Okay, we have a motion to approve awarding a bid for the construction of the storm drains at T.A. Duggar Athletic Fields to Mill Creek Construction Incorporation, amount of $7,500. Have everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The motion is approved. Okay, the next one is approve awarding a bid for construction of the concrete concourse at the T.A. Duggar Athletic Fields to Butler Concrete Service in the amount of $36,989.17. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
They are the lowest compliant bidder, and
We
that
have
is
three-
for and will help our special needs people. And I think it's an excellent thing. It's been slow in coming, but it has to be done because the gravels and things of this nature are an impediment to people who have special needs.
I actually, this past spring, I had to help a few people out there personally walk around out there, so we're pretty excited about this project.
I think it'll be a much needed improvement, not only in the way that it looks, but also for safety issues also. That was an area, I guess, I was kind of being part of that. We're trying to cut some cost on the front end, and it's come back to show us that, sometimes that's not the best thing to do. So I have a motion and a second to approve awarding of the bid for construction of the concrete concourse at the T.A. Duggar Athletic Fields to Butler Concrete Service in the amount of $36,989.17. Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The last two items have been deferred to our board policy workshop. Unless anyone has any other business to bring before the board. Our next meeting, regular scheduled meeting, will be Thursday, August the 21st at 6:30 here in this building. I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Oh, I want to ask you something now. The reason for my addition to board policy 5.201, you won't present it at the workshop. It was item number 13.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that we just did the budget workshop.
Yeah, that's what
That'd
we.
be all
That
right.
way, hopefully all of us will be there, all five of us will be there. We can have an open discussion, discuss these policies.
If I can find that first naming of facilities, I've got some of my packets from the late 1980s on up.
Okay.
That would help.
Okay, that would be good. Okay. All right, I guess we're adjourned. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.